How is it going, everybody? This is RBT coming at you with Week 16 of my NFL predictions. Only one more week left to go, so the season's closing in on an end. So, just like that, college football season and NFL season's about to be over. And we gotta cherish it as long as we have to do so. But 2 more weeks left, and I do want to apologize once again. These are coming out a little bit late. I usually upload these 10 o'clock on Tuesday, and it's mid-afternoon. Just been kind of busy lately, kind of trying to just enjoy my time off. But here I am, and I'm gonna get this done as soon as possible. But only 2 more weeks left to go, so let's get into it. There's still some playoff games. I mean, some games that are gonna be big implications on who makes the playoffs, who wins each division. Specifically, like the NFC North, the NFC North, the NFC East. The NFC is all cluster F'd. So we got to. It's gonna be interesting to see how the last 2 weeks pan out for each team, each division, really. So we'll start off with Miami going into Buffalo to take on the Buffalo Bills. Miami last week took care of the New England Patriots. Nobody really expected them to do so. I know I didn't, but I mean, a good game for the Miami Dolphins. Ryan Tannehill played great. You could even argue that he actually outplayed Tom Brady in that game. And you got the Buffalo Bills, on the other hand, who came in and beat a hot Jacksonville Jaguars team. At the time, the Jacksonville Jaguars actually had the longest winning streak in the AFC. As weird as that sounds, it's the truth. And Buffalo, I don't think Buffalo wins, but I think they give Miami a fight. Miami, I think, is just a better team overall. I think Ryan Tannehill right now is way ahead of EJ Manuel in development, and I think they have better playmakers at skill position. So I'm gonna go Miami by a touchdown. I'll go 28-21 Miami over Buffalo. All right, next we have the Minnesota Vikings going into Cincinnati to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals have been hot. They been consistent all year. They just have young talent all over the field, and that really shows. I mean, they've just been playing really well. Yes, they got beat by Pittsburgh last week. They're still top in the division, and if they can hang on strong these next couple weeks against some, if they can beat, they need Baltimore to lose this week, and I think they can take care of Minnesota, and they'll be in the playoffs for sure. But they do have Baltimore last week of the season. That would be a huge game, but I think they can handle Minnesota. Minnesota absolutely destroyed the Eagles offensively Sunday night. I mean, they put up 48 points on the Eagles without AP, without Toby Gerhart, with their backup running back, third-string running back, and Matt Castle at quarterback, and he lit them up. So it wouldn't surprise me if the Vikings come out, depending on who's healthy. They come out and fight and put up a fight against the Bengals, but I think the Bengals is too much. They know they have it's coming down pretty close for the playoff spot in the North, but I think they'll take care of business, and I think they'll prevail, and I think they'll win by 2 touchdowns. I'll go 31-17 Cincinnati over Minnesota. All right, next we have Indianapolis going into Kansas City to take on the Kansas City Chiefs, who are going to make the playoffs. Undoubtedly, probably can snag that wild card spot. But Kansas City Chiefs team that went on a kind of a down stretch. They had not lost a game, and then they end up losing 3 in a row. But the last 2 weeks, their offense has just absolutely been on fire. The hottest offense right now in the NFL scored 56 points against the Raiders last week, and then 45 the week prior against the Washington Redskins. So this is an offense that's definitely clicking on all cylinders, and their defense, man, they're pretty good as well. So they're one of the hottest teams in the NFL. Jamal Charles has been playing lights out the last couple of weeks. Alex Smith has been solid. Wide receivers also pretty solid. And Jamal Charles is also great out of the backfield catching the football. So with Kansas City being one of the hottest teams in the NFL the last 2 or 3 weeks, I'll go with them over the Colts by, I'll go 10 points. I'll go 30-20. Kansas City over Indianapolis. Next we have Tampa Bay going into St. Louis to take on the St. Louis Rams, who absolutely shocked a lot of people, including myself, and beat down the New Orleans Saints pretty solid. I think it was 27-16 they beat them, something like that, 10-11 points. So they've been hot. Tampa Bay's not necessarily been one of the best teams in the NFL, one of the worst teams. But I think Mike Glenn's been playing pretty solid. I think a little bit better than a lot of people expected. I mean, they have a decent running game with Doug Martin and some pretty good wide receivers on the outside. A pretty good secondary, but I expect the St. Louis Rams to stay on path. And, I mean, they're not going to make the playoffs, but they played hot last week against the Saints, so why couldn't they beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? So I'm going to go St. Louis by, I'll go by 2 touchdowns. I'll go 28-14, St. Louis over Tampa Bay. All right, next we have Cleveland going into New York to take on the struggling New York Jets. Geno Smith has just been playing like a rookie. That's just what he's been playing like. But then on the other hand, the Bengals have been not playing well themselves on a 5 or 6 game losing streak, and just nothing's really working out for Cleveland right now. Kind of tanked the season earlier on when they traded Trent Richardson, and it looks like they're finally going to need a quarterback in this draft. But as of right now, they've been struggling mightily. New York has lost 4 of their last 5 games, and the offense has been the big struggling point. The defense is pretty solid, I believe, for the Jets, but their offense with Geno Smith is nothing spectacular. So I think I'm going to pull an upset pick here, and I'm going to pick Cleveland over New York. And it's low-scoring game, 14-10, Cleveland over New York Jets, and that'll probably be my upset pick of the week. Next, we have Dallas going into Washington to take on the Washington Redskins. This is actually a pretty big game for Dallas because they're still battling for that NFC East spot. Washington, we all know, has benched RG3 for the season. Kirk Cousins is coming in, and he's been playing pretty well. And pretty much what I believe they're doing is not as much as it is RG3 sitting him to letting him, hopefully to prevent him from not getting injured. I think it's more of letting Kirk Cousins play against some inferior defenses and letting him put up some stats and look really good to try to trade him away for a first-round pick. And that's pretty smart, especially with the fact that they have so many holes to fill. And they don't have a first-round pick for a while because they traded their whole entire life away for RG3. But their defense is just bad. It's not good at all. On the other hand, Dallas' defense is bad as well. It gave up a huge upset loss. Well, gave up a huge amount of points, I guess you could say, last week against the Packers. And that was a big game for the Packers. The Packers now have a chance to make the playoffs, but Dallas has just been playing horrible defense, but they have a really good offense. We all know that. Tony Romo can put up some points, not necessarily in pressure situations, but they can put up some yards and put up some points. So I expect they put up a ton of points this week against a really bad Washington Redskins team. I expect Kirk Cousins and the offense to put up some points as well, but I think it comes down, to the Cowboys outscoring the Redskins in a pretty big offensive game. I never go big with my picks, like scoring wise, but I'll go 45-34, Dallas over Washington in this one. Next, we have New Orleans going into Carolina to take on the Carolina Panthers. We all know the Saints. They got the win the first time these two teams played, first time around. And but I think that game was in New Orleans, and I think that with this game being in Carolina, the Carolina Panthers have seen the Saints once before. Saints coming off a loss against the Rams. Carolina got a pretty big win last week. I think Carolina comes up and gets a big win this week. I think they shocked the Saints, and they play very good defense. The Saints really struggled offensively last week, and I expect that kind of be the same this week. I think they'll score a couple more points than they did last week. A couple more than they scored. I said 16 points they scored. I think it's some more than that. But I still think the Panthers get a very close victory, playing at home, trying to play for a playoff spot. So I'm going to go Panthers by a field goal, 27-24 over the Saints. All right, next we have my Tennessee Titans going into Jacksonville to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. And completely honest, we have not beat the Jaguars twice in a row. We have not beat the Jaguars in almost a year and a half, maybe 2 years. It's pitiful. Absolutely pitiful. Now the Jacksonville Jaguars are playing at home. We've lost however many straight, a ton straight. I think 4 or 5 straight, maybe more than that. I'm not even sure. We have lost. Well, actually, I forgot we beat the Raiders, but we've lost 5 out of our last 6 and lost 2 out of our last 10. So bad season. If we lose this game, I believe Mike Munchak's fired. Thank you, Jesus. We have a great schedule down the road for that to happen. So if we lose to the worst teams in the NFL, the Jacksonville Jaguars and Texans 2 weeks in a row, like we've already lost to them earlier on in the season, if Mike Munchak does not get fired from that, I don't know what will get him fired, and that would be absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible. We have some good players in this team, no doubt. We have a playoff caliber roster, but our coaching is horrible. Each side of the football, every single coach needs to be gone. They're just horrible. Cannot get anything out of their players. It's just bad. So, you know what? I expect the Jacksonville Jaguars to beat us once again. We just can't win. It's just the thing. We can come back. We can play tough all game and we can come out to huge leads. Either give it up or not come back enough, and we just find ways to lose. It's just simply put. So I expect Jacksonville to beat us by 10 points. I'll go 30-20 Jacksonville over Tennessee. Oh man, this is gonna be a blowout. We have Denver going into Houston, take on the Houston Texans. It's an upset. One of the worst teams in the NFL, one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFL. Denver, huge. I'll go 42-21. That's being kind of considerate towards the Texans, giving them 21 points. But I'll go 42-21. Peyton Manning better have a big game because I'm in the playoffs with my fantasy league right now. I'm a huge underdog playing somebody that's 13-0. I'm 11-2, I think. Peyton better have a big game. I'm an underdog by 15 points. So please, Peyton. Everybody wants me to win because the guy's 13-0 and he has a stacked roster, which I don't know how it happened because it's a 20-team league. But I'll still go Denver 42-21, Peyton Manning with 5 touchdown passes and 535 yards passing. No picks. All completions. That would be really helpful. Alright, next we have the New York Giants going in Detroit to take on the Detroit Lions. Two teams that kind of, I guess you could say, fell off the map a little bit. They both had big runs mid-season and kind of fell off. You all know how Detroit lost last week. I should have came on here and made a video about Justin Tucker's 61-yard field goal last night. It probably got me a lot of views, but oh well, I didn't feel like it. I actually didn't watch the game, but I know how it ended. But I think Detroit wins this game. I think they have the defensive line to pressure Eli Manning. That's been a big thing this season. When he gets pressured, he throws a lot of picks. He's like on a record pace of interceptions in the season. What is it, 25 now? Some ridiculous number. But I still think Eli's a solid quarterback. He just did not have the offensive line. I mean, no doubt he struggled this season, but I think definitely don't count him out because he's still a solid quarterback and give him a decent offensive line and he'll be fine. But it's a bad matchup for the Giants with the defensive line of the Detroit Lions that can actually get after the quarterback, and some defensive line that necessarily isn't groomed around that ideal can get to the quarterback of the Giants, will get to Eli Manning. So a defensive line like that will get after him. I won't be surprised if they get 5+ sacks in this one. If Eli throws 3 or more picks, I wouldn't be surprised. So I'm gonna go Lions big. 35-21 over the Giants. And really quick, I want to check something real quick if you guys do not mind. Next we have Arizona going into Seattle to take on the Seattle Seahawks, who have shown to be actually one of the best in the NFL this season. I think right now it's really between the Seattle Seahawks and the Denver Broncos, and if those two teams met in the Super Bowl, that would be a fun game to watch. And that's probably the way I'm leaning right now, is Seattle versus Denver. But Seattle should take care of Arizona. Arizona didn't look too impressive to me last week. They played the Titans, watched the game, and didn't look too impressive. We almost came back and won the game. But Seattle should have no problem. Marshawn Lynch should have a great game, as should Russell Wilson. The defense should hold the Arizona to as many points as they need to. So I think Seattle with a pretty big victory. I'll go 35-17 over the Cardinals. Next, we have Pittsburgh going into Green Bay to take on the Green Bay Packers. And these are two teams that are fighting for their lives for a playoff game. The Packers have to win both the last 2 games to have a shot at making the playoffs. And Pittsburgh, they have a chance. It's such an outside chance. They pretty much lost that when they lost to the Dolphins. But if they can win these last 2 games, you never know what can happen. Depends on what the other 50 teams that are fighting for a wild card spot do. But I think Green Bay wins this game. It's not for sure if Aaron Rodgers can play in this game. I'll actually look that up really quick. Aaron Rodgers is going to play this week. He's close to returning. He's still not cleared, but I think I actually expect him to play in this game. He came out and was congratulating Justin Tucker on winning that game because that gives him the shot to make the playoffs. So sounds like he wants to get back, and he knows the team has a shot to make the playoffs. So with that being the case, he'll be ready to play, I think. And regardless, I think they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think Matt Flynn's a solid quarterback. We saw that last week. Everybody counted them out at halftime when they were down by 24 points, and they came roaring back and came back an improbable comeback victory. Matt Flynn led. So I think regardless of Aaron Rodgers, I think the Green Bay Packers win this game at home. So I'm gonna go Packers, 31-24 over the Steelers. Next, we have Oakland going into San Diego to take on the San Diego Chargers. I think this is a complete mismatch at Oakland that does not have a great secondary. Gave up 56 points to the Chiefs last week, and I think San Diego has the pieces. With Phillip Rivers having a revamped season, one of the best seasons that he's had in the past 5, maybe. So I think they have a huge game offensively. I think they blow out the Raiders. I'll go 45-17. San Diego over Oakland. Next, we have New England going into Baltimore to take on the Baltimore Ravens. And New England, their team that's been able to own them the last couple of seasons has been the Ravens. I remember last year's playoff predictions, everybody had the Patriots going all the way. And I said the only team I believe that matches up well with the New England Patriots and could beat them is the Ravens. And you know what? That happened. It's just for some reason Ravens have their number. They always play great against them. And they always find a way to beat the Patriots. So I expect that to be the case once again. I think the Patriots are a very good team. We saw how they are, though, without Gronk, and he's now out for the season for sure. So we'll have to see how they rebound after a loss against the Dolphins, which nobody expected even without Gronk. But the Ravens they've won 4 straight. They're still fighting for a playoff spot. They're 1 game behind the Bengals, and this is a really big game. So they beat the Patriots. It all comes down to next week if they can beat the Bengals or not. So I think they beat the Patriots, and I think they beat them by, I'll go with touchdown. I'll go 28-21 Ravens, an upset win over the Patriots. Next we have Chicago going into Philadelphia to take on the Philadelphia Eagles, and this is a Philadelphia Eagle team that gave up 48 points last week. 48 points to the Vikings. And that was a Viking team without Adrian Peterson or without Kobe Gerhart with Matt Castle at quarterback. That was just bad. That was very, very bad. And, they've been playing pretty well themselves, the Bears have. Josh McCown's came in and played some pretty good football, filling in for Jay Cutler. We all know they have Matt Forte and a very good wide receiver core. Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffrey solidified himself as one of the best receivers in the NFL as well. So they have a great wide receiver tandem, a good quarterback, and solid defense. We all know that. Matt Forte is good as well. They haven't had one of the best defensive seasons. They've been known for the defense the past couple of years. Kind of dropped off this season, specifically against the run. They can't really stop anybody running the football, but they're pretty good in the secondary. It wouldn't surprise me to see the Eagles put up a lot of points, but with the way that the Vikings threw the football last week, I expect that to be. I expect Josh McCown to have a huge game because with the 2 really good wide receivers in Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffrey, and then if they get locked down to a point, which I would never expect them to against the Eagles secondary, you have one of the best running backs in the NFL and Matt Forte behind you. So I expect a lot of fireworks in this game from both teams, but I expect the Bears to come out on top here because the Eagles are playing at home, and you know what? The Eagles are bad at home. They're a very good road team, but a bad team at home. So I'm going to go Chicago 38-35 over the Philadelphia Eagles in a close game. Eagles another team that's fighting for a playoff spot. The Philadelphia and Cowboys play the last week of the season. I'm pretty sure they do. And that'll be a huge game because they're both fighting for a playoff. Yep, they play the last week of the season. And Philadelphia's 1 game ahead of them. So if both teams lose, next week could be a big game. A really big game for both teams making the playoffs. But I go Chicago by. If Philadelphia wins this game and the Cowboys lose, Philadelphia clinches the division. But I'm gonna go Chicago by a field goal. And next we have an absolute mismatch for Monday Night Football. You have the Atlanta Falcons going into San Francisco to take on the San Francisco 49ers. I expect the 49ers to win this game pretty handily. We all know the Falcons struggled this season. It's been bad. It's been very bad. They almost lost to the Redskins last week. It's just been a really bad season for the Atlanta Falcons. They've been playing pretty well, I would say, compared to the rest of the season. They've been playing all right the last 3 or 4 weeks, but I just expect the 49ers to blow them out pretty handily, because they just the Falcons are a one-dimensional team. They have absolutely no run game. No, they're forced to pass, and it just puts them in bad situations. The 49ers have a great defense, so I expect it to be a huge blow. I'll go 28-13, Atlanta losing to the 49ers. So that's been it, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like if you did, and if this is one of the first videos you came across of myself, please subscribe to my channel. You will not miss out, because I'm talking all football, all sports, all the time. Also, with a couple gaming videos mixed in. I actually have my first Jacksonville Jaguars video coming out, hopefully tomorrow or sometime soon for that series. I'm just starting, and if you have not seen that video, go watch that, because I made a huge announcement about that series that I'm going to be making. But anyways, if you had any disagreements with my picks, leave them in the comment section below. I love hearing feedback. And go follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/S3OTR. I guess that's it, guys. I'll catch you next week, and until then, have a great week. I guess that's it. Peace.